Hey, welcome to the Empowered and Free podcast. My name is Erin Kimbrell, and I'm a counselor, certified life coach, breathwork coach, and small town mom of two. I know firsthand what it feels like to live with high functioning anxiety. For most of my life, I had so much mental mess, anxiety, people pleasing, perfectionism, overthinking, constant worrying, and never feeling good enough. On my decade-long journey to feeling better, I've learned how to take back my life from high-functioning anxiety and helped others to do the same through my coaching and breathwork programs. Now I want to share everything I know with you. This podcast will help you feel empowered over your high-functioning anxiety and free to finally live the life of your dreams. Now, grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and dive into the episode. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast. Hey, friend, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're talking all about what life without high-functioning anxiety really looks like. I'm going to do some real life before and afters and kind of share some more of my story so you guys can hear what's possible for you. I get a really similar type of comment on Instagram Reels and on TikToks. And recently I had one that just really struck me. She went on to say, her last sentence was, "It's hard to imagine life without anxiety." And I totally get that. As somebody who struggled with anxiety and high functioning anxiety every single day for literally my whole entire life, up until I cracked the code on anxiety a few years ago, I had felt the same way. I wouldn't even know what it would feel like to live without that anxiety. If you've read my story, you know I've tried everything I possibly could for anxiety, and it just felt like nothing ever helped me enough. I eventually just started to think something is wrong with me, and I guess I'm just destined to be this anxious person forever. If you haven't heard my personal story, I share it on episode 1, and then I go even deeper on episode 35, where I talk about the sneaky signs of anxiety and high functioning anxiety. So go take a listen to those episodes if that will be really helpful. But today I actually want to give you a different story. I want to give you a glimpse into your future. I want to offer you some hope that you can actually learn to love your life again. And I want to show you that you can live without that constant anxiety and what that can look like on a daily basis. So I don't want to say this from a braggy standpoint. I hope that you feel my heart in that. I imagine that you're sitting just side by side. We're sitting here at a coffee shop across from each other. I've got actually my coffee right here, my everyday dose, which is my coffee replacement. And I just imagine that we're chatting and I'm offering this possibility to you. I'm helping you see what your future could be like. So just know that everything I say here is in love, okay? I want you to imagine a day in the life as somebody who lives without high functioning anxiety. I feel like I need right now a really cool sound effect to add in. On TV shows when they have a scene and then they take the scene into the future and it's this wind chime, bring, bring, bring. Did I do a good job explaining what I mean? I hope you follow me, but let's talk about what my life really looks like now as someone who no longer struggles with high functioning anxiety. Okay. When I wake up in the morning, I feel calm. I have gotten enough sleep for the most part, unless I decided to stay up late scrolling or watching Netflix, all that's my personal choice, right? But most of the time, I've gotten enough sleep. I've rested well, meaning I was able to fall asleep easily and stay asleep easily. And all of this is actually a really big contrast to how I felt before, because when I was really struggling with anxiety the worst, which again was most of my life, I couldn't fall asleep. I always struggled with sleep. My mind would stay awake for hours, being really busy, thinking everything through, dreading what I had to do when I was going to wake up, doing my to-do list from the next day, already running through that. Of course, staying up late, worrying about everything, having all my worst case scenario, biggest fears just run through my head. And like I said, sometimes this would happen for hours. Then once I would finally fall asleep, I would wake up and my heart would be racing. I'd kind of feel that panicky feeling as soon as I woke up. Other times I might wake up and feel okay for a second. And then it was my brain kind of caught on, it came online. And all of a sudden, all of that just hit me. My stomach started to hurt, my heart would race. And it was just all of my worries, everything I was stressed about just flooded in. I remember sometimes trying to turn it off, trying to go back to sleep. But by that point, I couldn't go back to sleep because my mind was already going and I didn't know how to slow it down. I didn't know how to stop the anxious thoughts. And then I would take that into the rest of my day. Man, thankfully, that is a thing of the past. That is not something I struggle with anymore. Right now, when I wake up, I feel really calm. And I mean body, mind, soul, calm. And you might be like, what does that even feel like? I feel really happy, like genuinely happy. Even though I'm not a morning person, I feel happy just to be awake. I feel happy to be alive. I feel happy to get my everyday dose and drink that, which is like my coffee and just kind of sit in some quiet time. Most of all, I feel excited. I feel excited to have another day, to be alive, to live out my purpose. And I know that sounds like cliche. That sounds, I don't know, whatever you think it sounds. It might even be triggering to you. You might be rolling your eyes. I get it. I would have felt the same way. And when things trigger us like that, I encourage you, instead of turning away, to turning this off, to actually take a moment and turn inward, look at yourself and say, why does that bother me? Why do I not like to hear that? If that's you in this situation, our triggers are our teachers, and you can learn a lot from what you're triggered about, because oftentimes the things that trigger us are things that we actually wish we had, things that we might even feel jealous about. I know that was the case for me with a lot of things. But honestly and truly, when I wake up in the morning now, I feel like I'm ready to take on the day. Even if there's things that I might be nervous about, like a big presentation or speaking in front of other people, teaching other people, doing live sessions, anxiety coaching, breathwork sessions, whatever it is, I might feel a little nervous about that. But at the same time, I feel really confident in myself. I feel like I know how to move through any anxious moments that come up. So let's say I wake up and I'm like, oh man, today I have a group breathwork session. I woke up feeling just a little bit of okay, that's coming up today. And if I have that anxious thought or that feeling kind of comes in, I can literally pivot that thought in seconds. And what I mean by pivoting that thought, this is the method that I teach my clients, where we can change the thought patterns in our brain really quickly and really easily. So it's like this quick redirection of a thought where you go, I had this thought. Do I believe this thought? No, of course not. Okay. Then what else would I rather think? Boom, done. The anxiety disappears when we're able to do that. It's the coolest freaking thing ever. And learning how to do this and then creating my pivot and regulate method was a huge aha for me that led to breakthroughs, not only for me, but also the same thing for my clients. I really love when I hear positive feedback on how much they're able to do this and how much it changes exactly how they feel. So that's the first part, is the pivot. Then let's say maybe I have anxiety come up throughout the day and I feel it in my body. Maybe I feel shaky or my heart starts to race or my stomach, kind of turns for a second. I know how to, number one, listen to my body. Hey, I'm feeling a little anxious today. And then number two, how to regulate my body, how to calm down my nervous system, which is literally feeding your body calm from within. I can settle back into my baseline, and my baseline is that ease, that calm, that grounded feeling. Even just as I say it now, my body yearns for that feeling. It just settles into that feeling because it feels so good. It is this deepest feeling of relaxation that I can even explain. It's like my body sinks down, into my chair, my shoulders drop, my jaw relaxes, even the muscles in my face soften, my stomach settles. My heart rate slows down, my muscles relax, and just everything feels better, calmer, softer, slower. I feel like it is this magic fix. But truly, all of this is just because I've learned how to heal my anxiety. This is exactly what you can learn too. That's what I want you to hear from this. Okay. It's not just about me bragging, tooting my own horn. It's about me sharing with you how to do the same thing for yourself. Let's move on to a little bit more of what life is like without high functioning anxiety. Okay. Now I don't have an overloaded calendar anymore. I'm not perfect at this. No one is perfect at anything. I work full time as a counselor. I run my anxiety coaching business and my breathwork business. I run this podcast. I'm a wife, a mom, a sister, an aunt, a friend, a daughter, a granddaughter, all the things it feels like, right? My kids are in activities. We have a lot going on. And I still make time for myself and what I need. So please hear me in saying this. It's not that I've got it down all pat all the time, that my life is perfectly balanced, but I can tell you it's night and day different than what my life was before. because before I was so overwhelmed with my life. My schedule was packed every single day. There was always this feeling of an intense pressure to get everything done on time. Everything felt urgent and important. I felt stressed and overloaded every single day. I had no idea how to tell people no. I had no boundaries in my life, and I always felt like everything was too much. I don't do that version of life anymore. I'm not here for it. I'm not available. Okay. Now I have room to breathe every single day. Every single day. If you follow me on Instagram, you see me. I'm out there on my porch. I'm in my hammock multiple times a week. And that's just what I show you online. So imagine the things that I actually do in real life that I don't show online. Sometimes you see, I'll share like a little post of my morning quiet time. I'll have, again, my coffee, my everyday dose. It is a requirement for me. I have to start my day with this time. It's my time to wake up because I'm not a morning person. It's my time to get grounded, to set my intention for the day. Like, what do I want from the day? What is my purpose of being here? And just to remind myself of what's really important to me. So that's in the morning. Then in the afternoon, again, I go to the hammock and lay in the sun every day. Or if it's too cold, I come inside, I get cozy in my bed. But the point here is that I take that time that I need for myself. For me, it's really to help me again decompress after a long day or in the morning to kind of ground and get ready for the day. But what I have now is this ability to deeply relax without feeling guilty, without feeling bad, without feeling like I had to be productive first to earn that rest time, to just give myself that time. Now, my kids are older now. My kids are 9 and 13. This definitely helps because they're a lot more self-reliant. They're kind of doing their own thing. And I'm just checking in on a lot of that. But I did first start doing this when they were a lot younger, when they were around 2 and 5. So if you do have, I will say, if you have kids younger than 2, this can be tricky. Younger kids obviously are more dependent on you because you're doing every single thing for them. So if you're in this stage, just hold tight, friend. Okay. I think of my sister. She's a mom. She has 2 twin baby boys. So I'm talking to you, Kimber. Like, let it go. Things will get easier in time. Don't put pressure on yourself to be taking all this time for yourself right now. I encourage you to take the time you can, but at the same time, don't let that be one more thing added onto your plate. Okay. I tell her again that you're going to get more of your time back as the kids get older and you can have some of that independence. So with that being said, I don't know everybody's situation. I don't know your specific situation. Maybe you're a single mom, or maybe you work multiple jobs. Maybe you don't have support. I know that your time is stretched really thin. So I'm not here to say you should, would have, could have been doing these things. I'm just here to encourage you to take even just 5 minutes for yourself. That's not too little. If all you can do is take an extended bathroom break where you just breathe for a second and check in with yourself, that's okay. Like, everything you do is making a difference in your life. Nothing is too little. Don't put all this pressure on yourself to do it perfectly, to have this 12-step routine where you're doing all your self-care. Just do what you can because it is important. You're important. Now, coming kind of back to my normal day, making time to breathe, even in my busy schedule. Let's say I look at my calendar and it is slammed and I don't have room. I don't have that time to take care of myself. Here's what I do. You guys are going to be like, ah, I cancel plans. Yeah, I cancel the plan and I don't feel bad about it. I literally don't feel bad about it. Everybody is just doing what they need to do to take care of themselves. And sometimes I don't have the ability to do the thing. I also don't respond to people right away. If I don't have that mental capacity, if I'm working on something else and I get some texts that come through, I don't feel that, again, pressure and guilt and like, oh my gosh, I've got to respond right now, because it's not worth it. I also don't sign up for things that don't light me up. I am not going back to that hyperextended version of me who said yes to everything and everyone because I felt like crap that way. There's a way that we can do both things. We can have boundaries with our time to protect ourselves, and we can help people when they need it. We can do both. I am huge on setting boundaries now. I told my husband yesterday, I said, I'm just like really big on saying no right now. And he like shot me a little side eye and he was like, I know, because I'm sure he's thinking about the chores or cooking dinner or laundry or who knows what else, right? But I took a page, I said, I took a page from your book and now I tell people no, because he says no to everything. I also learned how to speak up for what I needed, even if at first I had a shaky voice. I remember something a few months ago, even was like me speaking up about something really important. And I felt like my voice was like, because I was in this room full of people and it was a little intimidating, but I speak up for what I need. I'm not here to just keep it quiet and shove everything down or to the side. I'm going to speak up for what I need. That's in my personal life, that's in my professional life. When we do these things, we teach people how to treat us, right? They learn that we're not somebody that they can walk all over or push things onto, right? It is the coolest thing. I would love to do a whole separate episode on this, maybe multiple episodes, because I am so big on this. It has been life-changing for me as a people pleaser to do these kind of things. So if you want to learn more about that, boundaries, people pleasing, send me a message. I would love to talk about that more. All right. So all of that so far was more about the process of my day, kind of logistics of my day. But let's talk about the difference in how I feel as I go throughout the day now with somebody who doesn't struggle with high functioning anxiety anymore. Before, I used to have what I call a death grip on life. I had to control anything and everything. Just as I say that, my chest feels like a little like jumpy, like, oh my gosh, because I remember what that felt like. I was a planner to the 10th degree. I lived and breathed by my calendar, which honestly I still do. I run by my calendar all the time. If it's not on my calendar, it's not going to get done because my brain just can't keep it all together. But when I say I live by my calendar was so packed and I was always adding more things. Again, anytime somebody asked me to do something, sure thing, let me add it to the schedule, even if it meant I had no time for myself. Okay. I used to joke that I would schedule my life years in advance. I talked about this on episode 35, where I shared some more of my story. But when I was in school to become a counselor, I remember having planned out my entire 2 years in the program, in the counseling program. I had planned out where I was going to go for all of my practicums, all of my internships, how I was going to get it all done. I'm serious. Like I had planned out my life in that much advance, did not like surprises, did not like things not going according to my perfectly planned. My husband's family is very much like, easy going, go with the flow. That did not fly with me when we first started being together. Like I did not, my brain could not compute how people could be like that because I was not like that. And again, you hear me taking a deep breath because it was just a lot. I would overthink every single situation until I found the perfect solution. I had to find the perfect solution. And if I didn't, my brain would just kind of keep trying to work it out. I think of like what are those things called? Rubik's Cube. I think about a Rubik's Cube, like I would just keep kind of turning the gears in my mind, twisting and turning it until it locked into that perfect solution. Another big thing that kind of ruled my life was my fear that I felt, not only the anxiety, but also the fear. If I didn't know exactly how something was going to turn out, or I thought I was going to be bad at something, or I thought possibly maybe I could fail, I was not even going to try. I was not going to be embarrassed. I was not going to fail. That wasn't going to be me. And I remember even as a kid, like having dreams of being an entrepreneur, even when I was in undergrad and was trying to kind of reconfigure what my major was going to be. And I was like, oh, entrepreneurship. Like, and then I was like, absolutely not. That is way too much risk. I have no idea how to do that. And what if I fail? So it really wasn't until I learned how to move through all of this anxiety, past my anxious thoughts and my fears, like 30 years later, that I actually learned how to go for what I want. And so now I'm able to do the things that I want in life without the anxious thoughts holding me back. It doesn't mean I never feel anxious. It just means those things don't hold me back anymore. So what I mean by this, I've gone for the secret dreams that I've had that I've never shared with anybody. I've gone for these goals that felt really vulnerable to put out there and have other people see because what if I didn't make it? I've gone for those things. I've been really confident in myself to do things like even this, like starting a podcast. Like, what in the world? Coming from a girl who was too terrified to even get up in front of the class and speak. I remember shaky hands, even in college, in my public speaking class. And here I am, like speaking to all of you guys. It is the coolest thing. Now I'm somebody who shares my message with the world, not letting that fear of judgment of what are other people going to say? What are they going to think? What are they going to say about me behind my back? Not letting those kind of things hold me back. I mean, I post videos daily on social media and I don't let that fear of failing, messing up, having a video flop, I don't let that hold me back anymore. It did in the beginning, but not anymore. I know now that everything is a lesson. Everything is teaching me something. Even if something doesn't go the way I hoped, it's not the end of the world. It's just a lesson for me to learn, and I don't let it completely crush me. I keep going. I pick myself up every single time and I keep going. And I'm really proud of myself for trusting myself, for trying new things, for knowing that everything is working out for my good and in my favor. This is one of my favorite sayings I say. My clients know, they've heard me say it. I repeat it all the time. Everything is working out for my good and in my favor. And it is for you too. Okay. I know that my worth and my value in this world isn't on how much I can do or what I can achieve or how successful, in quotes, I seem on the outside. I know that I'm good enough exactly as I am, exactly as I am. And again, you are too. You just got to learn it. You just got to remember it. You knew it as a kid, but now we have to remember those things. Something that was hugely different before for me was also how much I was in my head. Okay. So I used to be so much in my head, thinking and overthinking that I really missed out on a lot of moments in my life. I missed out on moments with my kids when, let's say, physically I was in the room, but mentally I was somewhere else. I was just like zoned out. And then you hear them kind of call your name and you're like, oh, yeah. And you snap back into it. I missed out on time with my husband because he would want to hang out, but I was just so overwhelmed, so anxious, so on edge. I just did not have the space to have that conversation, to hang out, was not in a good headspace. I missed out on time with my family, like my extended family, my husband's family, because I was just so worked up and irritated and frustrated about life that I wasn't happy to be around. I skipped out on a lot of stuff. I skipped out on parties with my friends, hanging out with my coworkers, things because I just couldn't do it. I just, again, did not have the mental capacity because so much of my mind was wrapped up in all of this high functioning anxiety. And when I was in that space, I would really isolate myself. I didn't want to see anybody. I just kind of didn't want to talk to anybody. I was irritable. I was grumpy. I was hard to be around. And at the same time, I was tired. I was really exhausted, like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually exhausted because I was just overworking myself all the time. Anxiety makes our bodies and our minds go on hyperspeed. Even if we're not physically doing anything, we still feel the effects of that. And I was just really stretched too thin. So if you're feeling that way, I totally understand how you're feeling. Been there. Promise. Okay. I was also really hard on myself. I would beat myself up over everything. I constantly, probably daily, had thoughts like, I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not rich enough. Like whatever it was, those thoughts would just run on repeat. I need to be better. I need to eat less. I need to fix my hair. I need to fix my makeup. I need to look nice. I need to dress nicer. I need to make more money. It was, again, mentally exhausted. I know you're having some of these thoughts, and that's why you're feeling as exhausted as you are. My inner critic was just running the show. Those critical negative thoughts spilled over not only on myself, but spilled over onto other people like my husband and my kids, the people that spend the most time with me. So when I was really irritable and stressed, what would I do? I would take that and I would be projecting. That's a counselor term we use to say that you feel away and you throw it on other people. I would be projecting those feelings onto them. So I'd start criticizing them. I'd say, maybe you didn't do well enough on that test. You should have studied more. You need to clean your room better. You didn't do the dishes yet. Why didn't you do these things? Like just kind of really, like it makes me cringe now, but negative, yuck kind of thoughts that I did not want to put on my kids, but it happens. So try not to feel guilty. I try not to make myself feel guilty. I know that it is never too late to work on those things. And I'm really thankful that I've been working on those for a while, and you can too. Okay. There was just that constant message that I was pushing into their head, that was just like, you're not good enough. You need to be better, and you're not worthy until you do these things well enough. And that is rough. I'm like sweating thinking about it. I'm not even kidding. Because as a mom, you know that hits hard when that's never the message that we want to push onto our kids. But that was the message that was running through our heads. And so that's what we're putting out into the world. And that really does have an impact on our kids. Now for me, things are drastically different. I have more energy than I've ever had, and not just like physical energy, but emotional energy. And before I kind of got into working through my energy, my vibration, all those things, I didn't really understand what that meant. So that's okay if you're not quite sure what I mean by that. But I know that you want to feel more joyful. And that's how I feel. I have that energy. I have that joy. I have excitement to be in my life, not just letting life happen to me, but trusting again that that life is happening for me. I know it sounds cliche. I really do, but it's real. It's like this mental, physical, emotional weight has been lifted and I can be me again. That happy, free, carefree version of me that I've always wanted to be. I have this confidence that I've never had before. Again, thinking back to that shy little version of me, that is very much a thing in the past for me. This unshakable sense of peace at the same time, like peace and knowing that everything is going to be okay, that I'm safe, that grounded feeling all the time. Those things are amazing. And how do you even put words to that feeling? I'm trying. Hopefully, I'm doing a good job explaining it. Another thing, I'm really present. Like I'm here in my life. I'm in my daily life instead of up in my head all the time. I'm in there in the car with my kids, whether we're going to and from school, we're like recapping the day. I'm helping them work through whatever's coming up for them. I'm there. I'm not totally zoned out. We're singing songs in the car. I'm car dancing, like embarrassing them. I'm laughing because that really is the version of me. I used to do the same thing to my sister when I was younger, when I was driving her to school because I'm the oldest and I would be car dancing and she was like cringing on the inside. Um, because I really am like that funny and silly person. So it's cool to see that part of me come back. I mean, sure, things sometimes they get me down or I feel stressed. I have an anxious moment, but I can work through it so much faster than before. I don't let it ruin my whole day. I was even talking to my daughter about this last week when just things were just boom, boom, boom happening all morning. And I was like, this is not taking me down today. Again, it's like that unshakable confidence that like, this is not going to ruin my day. I'm going to let this go. And with that being said, I'm not saying ignore it, push it out. I'm saying feel the feelings. That's a big, big, big thing I've learned and worked through is how to process my feelings and cope with them in a really healthy way instead of those unhealthy ways I was using in the past. Another thing that is super big for me, I've talked here and on my Instagram about how my kids were some of the biggest motivators for me when I started this journey because I didn't want them to feel like this and I didn't want how I felt to affect my family. And that is something I try super hard not to do. I try my absolute hardest to not let how I feel affect my family, the people that mean the most to me, because our kids pick up on what we feel. No matter how much you try to pretend it's not there or hide it or cover it up, they know what's going on. They're smart. And they can also pick up on that energy that I was talking about earlier. So the ripple effect, when we do this work, the ripple effect is insane to our kids of how we can take that ripple and actually make it a positive one, make it an encouraging one, something that becomes ingrained in them so much that it becomes the way that they speak and the way that they act. When we change the messages that we're saying to ourselves, and of course, the messages we're saying directly to them, they start to think that way and speak to themselves in that way too. It is literally life changing, life changing. I feel so much happier. I feel lighter than I've ever felt before. And again, I mean that mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's like I can finally enjoy my life. And I can honestly say, like, I love my life. It's not perfect, but I love it. And that is the best feeling that I could have. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. Maybe you can hear the contrast of my life before and my life after, and you feel more like the before right now. And at the same time, you desperately want to get to the after, but it feels like it's light years away. This is absolutely possible for you. That's what I want to do today is offer you that hope. I'm big on being a hope dealer, dealing out hope like it's candy, right? I want you to know that I was the before. And through a lot of trial and error, I learned how to get to this place I'm in today. I would love, love, love nothing more than to help you do the same. Okay. I teach you all of this and more. I promise there's more inside of Free from Anxiety, which is your holistic anxiety solution to heal your anxiety naturally and feel less anxious for good. All right, friend, I break it down step by step. I'll walk you through it hand in hand. I know that you just want somebody to give you the answers to help fix your anxiety, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. Okay. If you want to learn more about Free from Anxiety, check out episodes 36, where I break it all down. Then check out episode 37, where I talk about how it's different from anything else you can find out there. Or you can skip that and head straight to erinkimbrell.com/free. I would love to help you live a life without high functioning anxiety. Okay. I hope today's episode was helpful. Now you can see the vision. You can see that it is possible for you to live a life without high functioning anxiety. Thanks for listening, friend, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You don't know how much it means to me. If you'd like more behind the scenes content, inspiration, and daily reminders that encourage and uplift you, follow me on Instagram at @HeyErinKimbrell and send me a DM to say hey. If any of the episodes have been super helpful for you, please consider leaving me a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. It helps me so incredibly much, and it allows the podcast to be seen by other people who need it. If you want to learn more from me, head to erinkimbrell.com. That's where you'll find all my free resources, read the podcast show notes, and learn more information about my online coaching and breathwork programs that help you create the life you want. If you want to keep the conversation going from today's episode, join us in our exclusive podcast Facebook community, Empowered and Free Help for High Functioning Anxiety. I'm here for you, and I'm always cheering you on. I'll see you next time. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast.